This bar gets warmer in discarding automatically returns to normal state. However, there is a way for you to get them to stay in that mode. If you enable turret mode, Barghest will automatically go in guard. Barghest will automatically go into guard stance at random intervals when they are creatures. But if you put them in turret mode, they do not leave it. The next one here is the Proudmane. So this one is a lion. We have the female lion over here. The males are slightly larger and have mane. The males have 25% higher health, but the females have a pack bonus. That maxed out at 4, that gives them extra damage. This may actually, and it's quite a decent pack boost. You can get, if I remember in the dev kit correctly, I had a male one that was doing like 50-ish damage, and then we had a full pack of female ones. And a single female is doing around 200 damage. Although I think the females were a bit higher level for that. And also the mate boost. But the point is, you get a lot of damage bonus from it. Additionally, the females do count the males as pack members, but the males do not have the pack bonus, which means you can have pack bonus of 4 females and a single male. You get the pack bonus, the full pack bonus. You also get mate boost for every single one of them, which is 33% damage resistance and 33% damage buff on all of them as well, on top of the pack bonus. So let's see. Here's the stats of the lion, Proudmane. It's got decent health for an animal of its size. Stats are around average for an animal of its size, similar to Sabretooth here. Left click is a bite, decent attack speed. Right click is a claw stroke, which gathers hide, can also be spammed. C is a lunge. So, before I do the attack, I'm going to explain a bit about how this works. This attack requires stamina. However, it does not drain all of the stamina that the attack will use right away. It drains stamina throughout different intervals in the attack. This attack can be cancelled by jumping, and this attack also lunges you forwards. Now, I'm gonna show what I mean by this. So as you can see, it will get ready to pounce before actually pouncing. While it's getting ready to pounce, it becomes immune to knockback. This attack can hit twice. So the first time the attack hits is now, and then it has a very long second hit, which is the rest of the lunge. This is the highest damage attack it has. A single hit of the lunge does more damage than either one of the bite or the colossal attack, and it hits twice. However, as you can see with long wind-up, you can probably use it to go as a fight starter, well, like as an opening, not something that you spam in the middle of combat. X does the roar. Completely aesthetic, because the Proudmane is not a pack type creature like the Allosaurs, this doesn't cause the rest of the pack to roar either. So now the final ability of the Proudmane is this. As you can see, I'm pressing spacebar jump. It's like a saber. It jumps more forward to pick up speed. You don't really have much of a vertical jump, do you? Well, the Proudmane can jump vertically as well. If you press Q, it will do that. This requires stamina, it requires being on the ground, and it drains quite a bit of stamina, as you can check right now. This can be used to get to higher places. However, because it is primarily a long wind-up type of jump, you probably don't want to use this as an evasive, unless you're like really screwed against the wall and you really just need to get up like something that's this height. But even then, you probably get stuck on the wall, so just don't do it. You cannot combine these jumps. You can cancel that jump by just jumping right here. But like scan it, you probably don't want to do that. And as I said before, you can cancel out the lunge button, but it still puts it on a cooldown. So if you should probably just use it when you want to commit to using the attack. The mechanics, both it and the Barghest are just standard knockout tames. Both red and they're both gestation creatures. And I'm stuck on the line. The next creature, let's just go to the front. Not looking at the last. Alright, so the Gryphon. This guy is very ugly. Unfortunately, I had a better model than Allosaur. Neck is way better. But, you know, we all lose our files and such. That stuff up. It's my fault entirely. This guy, basically, functions as Griffin, much weaker Griffin. Doesn't get nerfed, but it's basically an inferior Griffin in a lot of ways. It can still do everything a Griffin can. It just doesn't do them as well. You got the dive bomb, you got all that. So, this one's also standard knockout tame. They spawn on mountainous areas and stuff, basically where Griffins already do spawn. So we have left butter. We have just a basic attack. Right click on the ground does nothing, right click in the air does a grab. However, as you can see right there, it costs a lot of stamina. It can grab basically what a Griffin can grab. But once again, costs way more stamina than a Griffin, so you don't want to spam it. C is a roar. This is going to be purely aesthetic. X is a cluster. This can be spammed with stops movement on the ground, and it is very spammable in the air. That is very fast attacks. However, as you can see on the side there, this costs a lot of stamina, so you probably don't want to spam too much. There's a lot of stamina. You're screwed. However, as you know, still do the attacking when we're out of here. Look how high our torpor gets. Doesn't have too much torpor. So this guy basically just a Griffin, but more draconic if you want one. It's not as good as a Griffin, but you know, you can still use it as one. Next one up here is the Ceratodora. Now you guys won't recognize this one as something that's been in another model. This model is created by an animation created by Hoki Roya, who left the modding scene a while ago and the files with UGZ. And that's where these files are. So this one has a few custom animations by me. Here's the stats. Decent stats for something of its size. Now this is the first one I really tamed. Now if you guys have tamed the Cristatu Yaku from Dragons Evolved 1, or you've tamed Dakota Raptor, Saurians Evolved Primordial, they have very similar taming methods. Basically, they have low aggro radiuses. However, basically you want to put on Ghillie, crouch near them, and you'll slowly build their trust. Once the trust has gotten high enough, you'll get a new buff that prevents them from targeting you, and you can walk up and passively feed them. You don't want to hit them, of course, because then that'll reset the trust and the taming, and it's just rough all over. This guy can breed though, it's an egg type thing, and the reason I made them breed is so that you don't need to go through the wheel every single time. You just need to do them. Yeah, then you can have one. So, Ceratodora's ability. Left click the bite, stand bite, not much so going on for it. Right click, pause it again. Slight cooldown requires not much damage, doesn't really do anything. C soothes his tail. This hits the most requires stamina. Vulnerable. Buff in both mods. Vulnerable is a buff that lasts 2 seconds. However, every time it is inflicted, it extends the buff rather than resetting it. The buff also makes the inflicted take a percentage more damage equal to the amount of time remaining. So let's say a creature is inflicted with 20 seconds of vulnerable. That means they take 20% more damage. Vulnerable maxes out around I want to say 100 seconds, maybe it's 100 seconds, and it caps at 2 times damage. So basically, the maximum you take from vulnerable is 100% more damage. Now vulnerable has been nerfed against bosses. Bosses can only be inflicted for a maximum of around 30 seconds, meaning they take 30% more damage. That's the maximum. So you're not going to be able to just bring a bunch of these in there and just shred boss. Especially on single player, because that's like 6 times damage. Now, it has one more attack. There's some weird weight pain, but I don't really want to touch that right now. What the hell? I think it is weight pain. It's just weight pain in a weird spot. X. Now that hits a lot of times, and of course, as you see, shoots you forward. It also drains stamina as it continues to spin. A lot of times. Trapdoor's tail attack offers more armor and harvest wind. And all of this inflicts vulnerable. I can also jump. And finally, left control, you can roll. The aesthetic, you can't go back to it. Well, you have the aesthetic already. Well, I don't think I mentioned what these guys were immune to, but I don't think any of these other guys have immunity yet, so Strador will be the first one. Strador is immune to vulnerable. Look at that. Alright, so the next guys, these guys are all basically the same thing. They're basically reskinned vanilla frogs. They have the same stats that are a bit smaller, I believe, and they all spawn in the same areas, the swamps. So we got the Magma Toad, the Paratoad, and the Poison Toad. If you've played Monster Hunter, Monster fans, you will recognize the Paratoad. This is kind of just like inspired by it. So, they're a bit weaker, of course. Same stats, but a bit less damage. Left click, tongue attack, same effects as normal frog. Same everything. Right click, you get that one. Now, where these guys shine is when you press C. The Magma Toad creates this player cloud that deals damage that scales with melee on anything nearby, and it inflicts the special Dragon Evolve 2 fire debuff, which doesn't do a lot of damage. It does not do a lot of damage, but it does. But it can do more damage than the vanilla fire. See, there's a bit of cooldown, and it basically takes away half of your stamina bar. So the frogs are immune to their respective elemental debuffs. So like Magma Dude resists fire a lot and is immune to being stuck. Paratoad, electricity. This inflicts electricity, which reduces damage and movement speed. It also pushes things back a little bit. This one, pretty powerful as well, because, it's electricity plus it has a pretty big radius compared to the other two frogs. The final one is the Poison Toad. Now this guy because the toads already inflict torpor, this guy doesn't inflict torpor clouds. However, this guy might be the most deadly of them, depending on how you look at it. Because the fire one can still kill you off your mount, because it's fire, and the fire debuff also ignores armor. Para one can't kill you off your mount. However, this one, this frog, creates the poison wyvern's cloud that takes for 2 damage. But it scales with melee, and it completely ignores armor, and it kills you off your mount. This guy also has the shortest cooldown on how often you can create clouds. You can basically create a second cloud. Next right there, before the first one disappears. So this one might be pretty good for PvP. I mean, look at the radius. It's got a bigger radius than the fire one. So it might be pretty good for PvP. If you think poison wyverns are pretty good for PvP, maybe this frog will be as well. Who knows? And they don't have level up damage, because why? So the next one is the Limp. Just like Stratadora, this is the Host Royal model. Left click is a button. You can hold down left click and it will just keep fighting. Right click is a claw swipe, gathers stone, has a bit of a cooldown, stops movement, deals damage, and has knockback. C is a bit of a roar. X is a taunt. And now here's the fun part. Spacebar to jump. Left control to burrow. This works similar to the Basilisk's burrow, and you also lose stamina. However, I'm just infinite stats. However, the rider does not drain oxygen. Left click while on the ground. Does an attack. It's not very fast, and you do become vulnerable to damage when you do it. However, it is a method of attacking while underground that the Basilisk and Reaper do not have. You also can't hold down left click for that attack. There its stats. Pretty low stats for a creature of its size. This thing's also pretty decent swimmer, but you can only left click while underwater. Can't breed. So these guys, while you're underground, if you are hit with an explosive attack, they get launched out of the ground, become stunned for a bit, and then they can't burrow for some time. They're also pretty smart. When they flee, they try to go underground. Sometimes in the wild, they'll fight while underground. All that stuff. When they're high on torpor, they like to run underground, so you probably have to nuke them out around the small explosion. Ah, there's a bug I need to fix. All plus R is supposed to do an upgrade dead unit, but I clearly did something wrong with it because it's clearly also causing it to burrow. Alright, nice. These guys are immune to venom, radiation, I believe. And yeah, that's it. Now this one, Gryphon. As you can see, this one's already gonna be pretty unique. So, the Gryphon. Passive tame. They're very calm. You can just walk up and passive tame them. Left is fire. Right lunges you forwards and does a claw in the air. It does this. Seeds back kick, knock back. X is a wing flap attack that does no damage but just launches things back. Left control for the roar. Spacebar to jump. U to take off. This guy can fly backwards, he can fly left and right. Not a bad flyer, but you know, a Griffin is better. Oh wow, this guy's starting. see while it's there is a lunge forwards that hits once. If you hit the ground while doing it, you land. If you hit the ground while doing it, you may also take fall damage. But try not to just go straight at the ground. While it's diving, this that it counts as falling, so you'll take fall damage. As you can see, we just currently use one skill. See, we got all these other buffs on it. Let's see. Beak skill, claw skill, kick skill, wing skill, and surge skill. These are slowly leveled up by you using the move over and over again that corresponds to the type of skill. There is a chance wild ones will use the skill every time they attack. When tamed, unmounted is not leveled up by being using attacks while mounted, being depth player on it. Wild ones have a much lower chance of leveling of using a skill point than a tamed mounted one. However, you cannot get all 5 skills. I get 5 skills to maximum level, which is maximum level 5, because each one costs, I think, 20? That's 100 points. The reason why it's 319 instead of just 300 is because in case you mess it up, like in case you're just testing the attacks out at the beginning, or you accidentally have to use another attack and then you use points, you have 19 errors. Room for errors you can make. But yes, you cannot max out all 5 stats. You have to choose carefully. You can either max out 3, you can either max out 2, and then spread the rest. You can build your Griffin how you want. I won't go over what each skill does. That's up for you to read about, because I can't remember myself. Shift A and Shift D cause the Griffin to jump in place like this, which does a bit of damage and knockback to anything in its way. This also costs stamina. These do not count towards the attacks, so you'll be fine. Use these quick evasive maneuvers since Griffin's turn radius is the best. Griffin's immune to, I believe, radiation and a few other things, but I can't remember exactly. Oh, and the Griffin also has 2 passenger seats. One right there, and one right here. In order to get the... Oh, and also O, as you are... Look careful. This is a female Griffin. Now it's a male Griffin, so if you press O, it can switch the genders, which also helps with breathing. The best way to get every skill you want, the perfect build, the best way to do that is to breed them, because the babies do not start off with the skill points of the adults, so you get a completely fresh slate to work with. Alright, now the next one is Feng Huang. Now this is kind of counterpart to the Long from Dragon's Evolved 1, except not really. This one, I believe, is another passive thing. You can usually see these guys flying around mountainous areas and stuff. It's basically a phoenix, but white, because it's the Chinese version of the phoenix. You can sprint on the ground, take off, fly backwards, fly left, fly right. Left click is a bite. Right click requires 100% element, 100% elemental proficiency. And it will basically do a bite that does the same effect, but also shoots a fireball. The Feng Huang's fireball, it basically acts as normal fire. Anything immune to fire is also immune to it. But the fire can do up to 2,000 tick damage, depending on the percentage of the target's health. And it works on boss, which is always good. I don't know why you bring this in to fight the Manticore, because its torpor is not good. But, you know, you always could, and with Manticore and Cinderella, they smooth down the damage, that might be better. Seeing the plot has a bit of auto pierce to it. X blinds opponents, and if they're inflicted with the Feng Huang's fire, they get an additional debuff. This doesn't do damage, and it puts the Feng Huang into flying. If it does it in the air, which we not understand actually, it simply rockets you upwards, and it puts you back into flying. Left controls a war. Now, if the Feng Huang is attacked physically, the opponent starts to build up a debuff similar to the Amar's flame spikes. Once that reaches 100%, the target bursts into a vanilla type fire flame. As you see, Feng Huang has decent stats for a creature of its size, for a flyer at least. And the Feng Huang is also immune to fire debuffs, and it's 99% immune to fire damage. You can still hurt it with fire, it's just that you'll probably do 1 damage, and it's not worth it. Now the next one here is not tameable. This is the king beetle. They spawn in mountains, grasslands, and stuff. What these guys are they are mini bosses. You can just look at the stats. Those are pretty impressive stats for a beetle. I mean, a Rex only has 1,000 health. So these are not tameable. What you do is you kill them, and then you harvest them. Because they drop fertilizer, they drop poop and stuff like that. Basically, if you want to farm stuff, you can kill these guys for it. You don't need to do the really annoying process of film if you don't want to. These guys can drop quite a bit. So left click is a head swipe, right click is a stomp. And these guys can also shoot poop. Now their poop is a combination of the monkey's Mesopithecus poop and the Dinopithecus. It has the effects of both. It slows them down and it prevents tech from working. Oh, we can aim this better. Come on. There we go. So untamable mini boss that just wanders around. He is reactive, so which means he has an unpredictable behavior. Now the next one here, we're not going to cover all the variants of, but let's just say there's a lot of variants. This is a very complex creature. This is the Elemental Drake. As you can see here, we have a Bloodfall variant. As you see over here, we have the ability to give it an element if it already didn't have it. So let's explain how the Bloodfall Drake works before we go over anything. I mean, not the Bloodfall, the Elemental Drake. The Elemental Drakes, they spawn in the wild. They can spawn in one of these elements. There are 8 to choose from that they can select. They also have special colors that come with that. Being a specific element grants 90% resistance to the damage of that element, as well as immunity to the debuffs. When you tame them, you can breed different elemental types. It doesn't matter what elemental types you breed, because the baby will always be a base Drake, as what it's called. It lacks elemental abilities. With a baby, you can get crazy color mutations, but choose an element of your own. So you don't have to wait for an event to be like, oh, but I want a blue fire Drake, because normally they come in orange, red, and stuff like. They don't come in blue. You don't need. You can breed like a water and a lightning one, which can have blue colors, to get a base Drake that is blue, and then give it a fire affinity. As you can see, some of these elemental types are locked to specific DLC maps, unfortunately. There's no way you can get a fertilized Ember Crystal Wyvern egg on the island. You can get an Ember Drake on the island because they spawn there and it's a random thing. But you can't pick and choose to get a baby to be that element. Now, when you breed a baby, so basically you just craft these, first of all, you just craft it in their inventory, right? And then once they get an element, you can't craft anymore in their inventory. They already have an element. Just craft on these, they'll instantly eat it, and they'll convert to that element you don't need to. If you make a mistake and you didn't want it to be that element, just remove the items from its inventory. The crafting cancels. It's not like normal art crafting where it consumes the items before crafting. It consumes items after it's done crafting. So what you do is when you breed these guys, there is a very slim chance there will be a mutation. Now, to get this out of the way first, if you breed two mutated drakes, there is no higher chance that their baby will be mutated. It's just you have it or you don't. The parents do not affect the chance of the mutation. The mutation basically allows the drake to get a secondary elemental affinity. The secondary elemental affinity grants nothing. It doesn't grant immunities. It doesn't grant resistances to damage. It grants an attack, and that's it. When you ride the drake, it has a buff. That's his blood off in. If it's able to get another mutation, which you could just use a spyglass mod to check, if you have that mod. However, if you don't, you can wait for them to grow up. And if it says that they have the ability to get a secondary element, it'll have a second buff that says secondary element available or something like that. Basically, it allows you to craft two. Now, how the mutation works is you have to set the primary element first. Then the second crafting will be the secondary element. There are some elements that you cannot combine. You cannot combine ember and fire in any way, shape, or form because they're both fire. So why would you want to you can't. There's also ones that clash that don't allow you to. So you can't have fire and water, if I remember correctly, as two different elements. You can't have ember and water because ember is also fire. That's just how it works. So, anyways, with that out of the way, let's look at what they do. Also, each elemental type drops stuff of the corresponding element when you harvest it. So let's just check out the moves now. Left click is a bite. Right click is the climbing thing because it can climb. It's a rock drake. Oh, these guys can't glide, by the way. Rock drakes can glide. These guys cannot glide. C is a claw swipe. Depending on the element, this may inflict a debuff corresponding to the element. X is the primary elemental ability. This one shoots a blood ball. You can check the description, the info for other abilities. Left controls the roar, and right control would be the secondary elemental attack, which this one does not have. Wild ones cannot have the mutation, they have to be bred, so these guys are also standard knockout tames. Now this one is the bone crab. Now you can't normally ride these without a saddle. And these spawn on beaches and stuff. They are also reactive, like they have a bit of armor if I remember correctly by default. Oh my god, I have a lot of stuff into it. And now it's not that. So as you can see, very low stats. Standard knockout tanks first spoiled meat. However, as you can see, it's a very interesting inventory. Hands, costume, saddle. And as you can see over here, you can craft it. So, these guys drop bones when they die. And you can also harvest Thanator and Skeletor. These bones. So crafting these skulls give them the two armors act as saddles, and then that acts as gloves. So it just basically does exactly what it says in the description. So there's a heavier type of armor that reduces movement speed more than the normal type of armor, but grants a bit more resistance. And then the gloves do give you increased damage. So left click is a claw finger. Random direction. Right click is a roar. Left click can harvest pearl. Now next one over here, Dino Dogoron. This is one of the new additions. To tame this guy, you need to craft an item that gives you a bloodlust buff. Then you just walk up, press E, and recruit it to hunt for it. Oh crap! I messed everything up. Hold on. We'll be right back after I just move all these guys back over. God damn it. We don't need to care about the guys to the left. I just need to move the guys to the right back to their positions with the king. Yeah, we'll be checking out this big boy in a second. You just stay right there, buddy. So this guy, Dando, you recruit it and then it just runs around. It's kind of like an Amargasaur minus everything else. You just have to let it kill things, and it gains taming effects. It's kind of like a troop. The size of the creature it kills affects the multiplier. So if the creature is larger, it gains more taming effectiveness. If the creature is smaller, it gains less. So this guy's pretty fast. Pretty loud. Left click is a bite, shreds and ignores armor, and inflicts the Carnosaur's shredded defense to prevent it. And it inflicts high tier bleeding, which takes damage. However, this attack is also unique in another way. When it hits something while bleeding, Dynado Run gets a 2-second rapid healing buff that regenerates 20 health per second as well as damage. If it hits multiple targets, it can stack this healing buff, which stacks up to 20 times. Basically, Dynado wrecks anything that's not made. It handles extremely well in a lot of crowd situations with points that are not because it just heals rapidly by doing this. C's Claw Swipe has a bit of a delay and has a bit lower damage. This inflicts shredded as well, but it also makes 2 seconds vulnerable. It does not inflict or give them damage. Left controls a war. Just aesthetic, nothing else. Right click is a pounce. Now this is the same effects as left click, but with higher damage. It also launches you forward. Hit something that's smaller. And I missed it completely there. Don't do that. You can, the heck? Alright, do this. Automatically starts running. Hits 3 times for 29 damage. Same effects as the left click. And do that until the target is dead. It also drains stamina, but you also recover stamina. So provide you fine. Good fighting a single small target. If you grab them and you want to let go, just press C while you're holding on to them to let go. And then oh god. As you can see, this guy regenerates health very quickly. Now this next guy is not rideable. This is one not rideable creature in... Wow, I think this might be the only not rideable creature in Dragon Ball. Wow. So Reverian, pretty low stats, of course with small size. You tame this guy like an otter, drag fish to it. He's a bit bigger though, and things in the wild attack him, so it's a bit more dangerous. But this guy is pretty strong. He can defend for himself. He's got the same damage as Raptor. He's not gonna just die, and they spawn in groups. So these guys, they have a special build. They only have one attack. They bite and then they have a roar, which you can't see the roar because you can't ride on them. It's just for players' dyna's sake. When they are submerged in water, you can craft these abilities. Once you craft them, it's kind of like the Elemental Drake, except upon completing crafting, the item gets consumed and they do an area effect, which buffs all allies with a special buff. It's literally stated right here what each one does, so I don't really need to explain them, but you have to be in the water for them. Now there's one ability that I'd like to explain. The water breathing. It says it requires a Diplocos air sac. Now you might be wondering, what is a Diplocaust air sac? That's not a vanilla item. How do you get a Diplocaust air sac? Well, your Reverian has a 20% chance to collect this item when it kills a Diplocaulus. Not when you kill one. The Reverian itself will gather the item upon killing a Diplocaulus with a 20% chance. That's how you get the item. That's also why it lasts for 300 seconds. Now, the next one here is Yamayaku. Standard knockout tame. It's a bird. From Atlas. Left click does a bite. Right click does a roar. Spacebar to jump. However, this guy's a special. Spacebar jump. Spacebar again in the meter does a double jump. Jump twice. Kills all momentum. Yeah, higher. Additionally, I mean, if you overjump, you just do that. Just stop. Jump. The double jump also requires stamina, though, so you cost more stamina than the main jump. So yeah, be careful about that. This guy's an omnivore, so he can gather meat and berries. Yamayaku's special ability is on the corner, on alert. If Gum's near a large threat, Yamayaku will get its buff will switch to something else that I can't remember about. And it will constantly roar, even when you're not telling it to, warning you of danger. It's not overly useful, but this guy can be better than Gallimimus in the right circumstance. As for stats, very low stats. It's not very durable, but it's not like Gallimimus is too bad. This guy. Next one is Canis Inferno, which basically translates to Hella. These guys are standard knockout tames. They fight everything in the wild. They get attacked by everything in the wild. Left click's a bite. Right click's a claw swipe that shreds armor a bit and bleed, has a bit of a cooldown. Needs a roar. Spacebar to jump. Now this is gonna be rough because infinite stats is doing. X power up, drains oil like crazy. X again, power down. When you are powered up, left clicking sets things on fire, right click sets things on fire, and this hits directly through the mount, so you can set riders on fire through their mounts, making this killer for PvP. In addition, flamethrower and left control this fire thing that hits a few times and sets things on fire, or you can do something else with it, which I definitely do not have the stamina or the oil. While it's also burning, you get a prevent freezing buff. And left turns into that boost, left control turns into that boost forward. So the Hellhound also has a different thing. The oil can be leveled up because the oil scales with your water stats, you can see right there. However, there is something else. Now you don't think you can also press Q with oil in your inventory, Basilosaurus or normal oil. Normal oil takes priority to regenerate 20 oil at once. You basically just spam Q and just go back up to maximum oil. So, carry around oil with you to keep the power in the longer amount of time. I forgot to mention something with Dynadogron, I forgot. Once you tame Dynadogron, it gives all of your allies a fellow hunter buff. This basically acts as the same buff as the potion does, and allows you to recruit wild Dynadogron easily in the future. Canis Infernum stats. Pretty low stats for something of its size. A bit of a glass cannon. Ronin Sclerotar. Look at this. It's got decent stats and it's very heavily armed. This guy's a standard knockout tame, and it's a slug. Left click does the slam attack. low damage, decent attack rate, and it does clear damage. Right click, double claw, slam. Bit more damage, but really requires stamina. Now I want to see Call of Duty World War. Rapidly does damage, and when you roll, you can't turn it off. Rapidly gains stamina. And you can roll, and then you can run the roll cooldown. X puts you in a guard state. Guarding makes you take reduced damage and you can get off of it and it'll keep guarding. But guarding makes you take heavily reduced damage. However, the original amount of damage will be subtracted. Well, no. Actually, no, I don't think that's how it works. I think it's the reduced amount of damage will be translated into stamina loss, meaning you lose stamina every time you get hit. If you do not have sufficient stamina, you cannot just use blocking. Blocking itself does not require stamina, but blocking attack. Alt X is basically just right click, but you lunge forward, and it has a bigger cooldown. This guy's pretty well armed. You need to I forgot to mention once again, but Dynadogron is immune to bleed, and Canis Infernum is immune to fire. I keep forgetting to mention those. Now the next one here is this big boy that you've been all probably playing. Obsidious Serpent, one of the first creatures ever in the mod. As you can see, very good stats, even though I just leveled them up a bit. He has a standard knockout tank. However, as you can see here, he has torpor resistance, which makes him take less torpor from attacks. He's very difficult to get down. This guy is immune to quite a few debuffs, but he's not immune to bleed, surprisingly, and he's not immune to fire and stuff. Left click is a button. Right click is a headbutt. C is a head swoop. X is tail whip. If you have Dragons Evolved 1 installed, this will trip targets under over 250 drag weight. This hits twice and gathers stone. Left control spits acid. Works identical to Arthur acid, but with much lower damage, but he shoots a volley. Has a bit of a cooldown and requires stamina. And then Alt plus R is one of the most powerful roars in Dragons Evolved. Completely aesthetic, does not do anything. Now here's the Fulgurjaw. This one's got a lot to talk about, but I won't go too in depth over him. Basically acts like a rock drake. Once again, cannot glide. It says not enough stamina to glide. It can't glide in the first place. So left click is a button. Two different animations, standing or not. If you're standing still, this inflicts Fulgur electrocution, which basically works as speed, but it's electricity based. Makes sense? While you're moving, it's a faster attack because you lose out on Fulgur electrocution. Right click is, the climbing stuff. C is a claw swipe. Bit of armor pierce. X shoots an electric ball that electrocutes things that get close, and on direct impact does high damage and stuns creatures. Left controls a roar. Alt plus X is electric pulse. Gives electric-based creatures an electric surge buff, which increases their speed and damage for a short amount of time. This includes allies, this includes enemies. So you don't want to use this attack against enemies that have electric attributions. They will just be buffed up a bit. His stats, it's got low stats for the standard. But the because, you know, it nerfs people with its electrical debuff. If it's one that isn't immune to electricity, maybe it doesn't need that. It's also much smaller. Over here, because that Drake is around the size of normal rock drakes. Right there, everyone get out there. As you see, it's much smaller than the normal rock. Guy's immune to electrocution, radiation, that type. Additionally, while it's, if I remember correctly, while it's this, it reflects back a bit of electrical damage on anything that attacks it physically. And I forgot about Obsidian Serpent. Wow, we are all. So you can craft mineral coat in its inventory. This acts as armor for it. Basically, you can't upgrade. It says 0 armor. It works a bit differently. Basically, applying this basically gives it rock golem style defense. It takes reduced damage. Armor piercing attacks do not go through. However, attacks that damage stone and attacks that harvest stone completely ignore this armor. And it's a bit expensive. Look at that. You need 10,000 obsidian. I almost feel like I mistyped that, because I feel like there's no way I actually... I might change that. That 10,000 seems absurd, doesn't it? Yeah, 10,000 sounds absurd. I don't think that's intentional. Crap. Our next one here is Invader. This is the third new creature added in the most recent update. So Invader. You can find these guys everywhere. They're very aggressive, standard knockout team, but got quite a bit of torpor. And he's got natural armor. Left click, bite. Slight armor pierce. Right click, wing flap, high knockback. C, body slam, and high knockback, and deals more damage to smaller creatures. Left control. Drop scales. It do low damage. Alt X, powered up stance. Now in this stance, its scale drops. They detonate and set things on fire, and body slam also sets things on fire. However, in this mode, it eats food 10 times as quickly. Invader's immune to bleed and fire, and it takes a lot of reduced damage from explosions, and has high natural defense in the first place. Don't try to kill alphas with this guy though, because alphas do negating the explosion resistance, because alphas use explosive damage type because wild card. So Invader can't sprint on the ground. Invader can fly, but it's very slow, unwieldy. Still bite. It's 3 times. Spam it, but again, falls ban. This counts. No, it doesn't take fall damage. You lose altitude unless you just aim straight up. Invader also possesses another ability, similar to Mira. It can swim. Left click. At the moment, I might change that to make it unable to drop scales in the water at plot, which I probably will. And now you all probably probably as well if you hadn't already. So in order to drop skills, you need to have skills in its inventory. These generate over time. And then another one that produce scales. Man, goddamn. So that's Invader. It also has one more ability. Regardless of what do dive bomb or do dive bomb slam. Costs stamina, but it does a lot of damage. Invader was bit tricky to code. It doesn't really have too much to talk about because it's just like a PvP based creature. So basically Raiju, Saurian, and this guy are all kind of in the same tier of creature. However, they have different purposes. Raiju is very good for PvP and PvE. Raiju is good for PvE. Traveling, it's not so good for PvP because of its small size. The Saurian is good for PvP and PvE because it's like a Giga. It's like a good Giga that you can use in PvE, but it acts well enough like a Giga that I can use in PvP. Invader is basically solely for PvP because of its bombs. These guys can be found in all sorts of regions. You just gotta read the lore to understand why. Skull Reaper, this one has another unique training method. You have to clean the grime from between its bones. Here its stats. Well, it gets pissed off while it's cleaning, so you don't want to hear it when it's cleaning. It's aggravating you. You can tell if it's angry by its orange glow around its head. So I can't fly, but he can jump and he can swim. This is the bite. This is the claw swim up, but it never actually will inflict. It just builds up a ticking damage. Sort of like bleed building. C is a tail swipe, does the same effects as the claws, but does more damage and hits behind you. X on the air or while walking will do this. Dark Cloud basically takes damage that scales melee on anything that walks in. And with Dark Element, things take a bit more damage. Level 4. Alt plus level 4 power up. That's soul amount, and when it's powered up, it takes less damage, it does more damage. And soul recovery basically levels up how quickly it gets soul back. These guys are normally passive-ish. They wander around. However, when they got the orange glow around the head, you don't want to approach them at all. These guys can also be killed, and you can get dinosaur bones from them, which help the bone crab over there get its armor. Now, the last one here is the biggest creature in the line. The Thanator, similar to the Drake, there are different variants. They can spawn with their own abilities, but they're not quite as complex, and you don't get much. You can't really affect the abilities they get. So, left is bite. Right click. Shoots this breath, it just does damage, doesn't have any debuffs, but it's a dark attack. C is claw swipe. That's a big bite. Left controls a roar. And because this guy's a Heian variant, he has Night Prowler similar to the Barghest. However, this Thanator is small and it is not the Thanator you want. This is the Thanator you want. With 50 dinosaur bones, 100 element, and 150 dark pearl. Well, dark pearls. Yes, dark pearls. You can get a converter, which will be automatically consumed when it is finished crafting. But we're gonna just spawn it in here because I don't care. Unleash Thanator's true form. Okay. So, as you can see, it failed. It failed again. There's a very high chance it fails. You normally shouldn't have that many, that's why it's kind of bugging out right now. Wow, this game really hates me, doesn't it? There we go, it succeeded, and our Thanator is now dead. Now we have this Tyrant Thanator egg. So what you do now is you just drop it on the ground. It's too cold. Oh, screw you. Basically, once you hatch the egg, you will automatically get an adult. Now remember, this thing will spawn at the level of the Thanator you get. No, that you tamed it at, not at the level it was when it was sacrificed. It will also be a different element because that does not carry over. To get a Thanator in the first place, you just have to kill Thanators. There's a chance they die. Tyrant Thanator. Beastly stats. These guys also have a bit of natural armor, and of course, you have a corrupt Thanator form. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. The form is kind of ugly. I'll be real with you. But let's check out the attacks first before we talk about that. Left click, bite. Right click, breath. C, claw swipe. X, heavy bite. Roar. Alt plus X, tail swipe. Alt plus C. Creates an electrical zone that damages things rapidly. And then detonates. Right control. Well, wow, we got the Lich variant, so that's what the Lich variant does. Because, normally you shouldn't be able to do that. I forgot what... I forgot what key it was going. Oh, there we go. Alt plus left control. Does the elemental pulsar, which does high damage as well. Now these raptors here, I don't know if they're gonna be. They spawn at the same level as Thanator plus 5 levels. Now you can corrupt the Thanator. This does nothing but update its appearance and gives it the ability to summon more powerful raptors. Only the Lich version of the normal Tyrant Thanator can summon raptors though. These raptors though. However, this is not reversible, so corrupt Thana. Oh, yikes! They decompose. Wow. Okay. Why is there so many crystals? I don't know. And corrupt node, I think. Oh, it just needs polymer. Right. Because corrupted nodes act as polymer, and yeah. Oh, come on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm out of it today. I'm a bit out of it today. Anyways, there you go. Oh, never mind. We already. God damn it. Alright, so here it is. This is what it looks like when it's corrupted. As you can see, this is what I mean by I don't know if it's the most attractive thing in the world. You might not want to corrupt it at all because you just give to summon raptors. You don't think the minions are worth it, and you think the mode forms cool, you don't have to corrupt your Thanos. Yeah, I don't know how to make an outro to this video now that we've actually covered every feature. Awkward. Oh. They hacked. Oh god. Wait. Oh god. The blood got. Oh god. Oh god. I think my raptor started that actually. Yeah, that could happen. Anything that the raptors kill, if the raptors die, the items get transferred to the standard person. Oh wow, we got another lich. What? We got we got 2 liches. Wow. Yeah, I don't know how to. Okay, I guess I just end the video here. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe and tell me if you find any more bugs in my mod, because I do want this mod to be in top shape before we have to move to ArcDrive Evolved Descended for y'all who are staying behind toward ArcDrive Descended, or you know, with a console player and you can't afford a new console. Yeah, I guess I'll just end the video. I wasn't expecting the Thanators that. It said they were too cold. Were the raptors make it warm enough or something? Why'd they suddenly just hatch like that? That just scared the shit out of me for a second because I thought I forgot I dropped eggs. Also, I think the raptors are supposed to despawn, but I forgot to do that as well. Wow, I'm fucking. Yeah, that'll just be the end of the video. Anyway, guys, see you later. I still can't believe that just happened.